Well, hi and welcome back to 3R Guitars. To be honest, I haven't been editing the videos as I've gone along, so I've seemed to have a bit of trouble with my phone keeping the videos. So I'm not sure if this will be sort of in line with the previous videos or what footage I've got. I can't remember. I'm doing it all a bit on the fly, so sorry about that. But here we are now. With this, it's come on a long way. Basically, you end up like fettling little bits, this and that, and then you kind of think, oh, hang on a minute, I can get it all together. I'm still waiting for the knobs. I've bought some old Bakelite ones. I think the last thing I did was but I'm not sure if the video came out all right, so I'll show you again, is these tuners. They started off life as chrome and I hated them on there. They just didn't look right at all. And I didn't want to, the only sort of bronze ones I could get were like sort of Chinese ones, and you're not sure of the quality till you get them. And equally, they didn't do a 4-2 split with left and right, so I'd have had to have bought 2 sets, which would have been quite expensive. So I decided to have a go at wrecking these and just basically sanding the chrome off, which I did, and it's one of those things again that just goes right and just looks fantastic. I mean, you can see that the nuts round the top are actually brass, and they look nice against the copper, so I think the whole effect looks really groovy. Obviously now I've got strings on it, which is really nice, and also the bits I really like are these strap buttons. I think they look really sort of Victorian and sort of steampunky, funky, and they're actually the ends off some stair rods. So I think I just drilled them out and put them in, and I just think they look really cool. With the neck, now I've got it bolted on. I mean, obviously this body is a lot thinner than, considerably thinner than a Fender body, but I wanted some really tough screws because A, I've only got 3, and B, I didn't want to use brass or anything because they'd probably snap, especially going into the maple. So I've actually used some quite chunky Fender neck screws, but I've cut them down in length. And the thing is basically drill the hole, the pilot hole in the neck, screw a complete screw in sort of thing to all of them. So you cut the thread in the wood and then cut the screw to length, and that it will still go in okay. So and like I said before, I'm gonna this was an old table that someone gave me, and I really like it all battered, and I don't want to sand it down because there's some quite deep dents in it from its 100 odd years as a table, and I'd have to sand it down, quite considerably, and we're dealing with a thin body anyway. So I'm going to leave that exactly as it is. You can see there's a couple of dull bits on it where I have actually, there was a hole in it there which I've put a plug in, and I've sanded that back. So I need to gloss that up a bit with some whatever finish I'm going to use. But yeah, so I strung it up, done some very rudimentary setup with it, checked all the electrics, they work fine, and everything works great. All these string like lock-in things work fine. So I can actually see that one's not slid in properly there, so I'll have to see what's up with that, but no problem, you always get teething things. The main issue is that the string action is far too high, and the bridge is right down. So what I'll have to do is shim the back of the neck. It will probably need about 1 millimeter, and then that will kick the neck up quite a lot. and then we can start cutting the nut down, because the string slots have got to go deeper in there. So I want to put a veneer in the back of the neck pocket. So at least I've also, what this bridge hasn't got, it hasn't got the string slots, the string V's cut in it, so that will bring the strings down a little bit. So I'll have to do that. I'll do that first probably, and then we'll go from there. So it's just really fettling now, so get back to you. Well, here we go, we're back with this now, and I've been doing just a rudimentary neck angle adjustment. What I've ended up doing is I've put a couple of shims of veneer in the back of the neck. So there's 2 shims, so it's probably about 0.5 millimeter of veneer in the back kind of thing, which is next to nothing, just to give the neck more of a tip back. So that's put the bridge, you can see now the bridge has got some up down adjustment in it now. We can go down and we can go up, very fractional adjustment in the necks allowed the bridge to actually come up a little bit, and we've still got the string slots to deepen in the bridge, so that the bridge will probably end up around there, and you can see we've got a very respectable action now anyway. I guess that's one thing I don't like about using ABR or tunematic bridges on flat top guitars, because you have to end up with, you know, the pickups being so high out of the body and and I think that just looks a bit like a bit untidy. But you know, that's if you are, you know, I wanted to use a tunematic on this because I just think it looks more funky. I think the Fender style bridges that sit a lot lower really are they're more suitable for a flat top guitar, but you know, they do look so much more modern sort of thing than something like that. So I don't mind it on this because I think it suits the whole appearance of the guitar sort of thing, so I'm okay with it. Now what was I going to say? Basically what I'm going to do next is, now I've got the string line about right, I can actually do the string slots in the top nut, which are much too high at the moment. That's going to bring the action down a bit. The one thing with, when you do a setup on guitars is you have to, on a new guitar, you have to do a bit at a time. If you adjusted those nut slots, you think, with the neck still at the wrong angle, you'd bring the string down to within a gnats of the first fret, and then think, okay, I'll adjust the neck angle now. You tip the neck back a bit, and then all the nut slots would be too low. So try and get it in the ballpark first of all, and then start creeping up on your on your nut slots and that kind of thing. Otherwise you'll end up having to fit another nut, which would be a pain in the arse. But anyway, so I think it's looking quite good now. One thing that I think is slightly wrong in it is if you look at the amount of fretboard to the outside of the thin E string, it's a bit, probably a fraction too much. It's okay on the bottom, I think, definitely. I mean, the neck could probably tip that way a little bit, just that might put the two strings a bit more in line, but it's absolutely fractional really. I mean, I know people who like playing with the high E string with a bit more fret to the open, to the edge of the fretboard, so it doesn't keep slipping off. But I mean, you can see that the strings go exactly over the poles of the pickup and everything, so that's right. Part of the reason is that an ABR is not for a fender neck width anyway, so you generally, what I shall do is when I cut the slot for the string in the bridge, I'll just move it out fractionally so it looks a bit better, but that means, you know, I'll have to cut slots for the other strings slightly to open the gap up, sort of thing. So it's not going to be a problem. It really is tiny adjustments. But what I'll do now is I'll get the nut slots cut somewhere around where they should be, and we'll go from there. Well, hi there, and welcome back to the setup of this guitar. I actually made a real goof when I started setting it up. You saw that, you know, I tipped the neck back to get the you know, an angle where I could raise the bridge a little bit, and then I started filing the nut slots down just as a matter of interest. These are my go-to nut files. They're Stuart McDonald ones, and if you're ever doing anything like that, here's the really thin one for the top E string, 0.1 of a mil. You really can't do without proprietary nut files, you know. I mean, if you start using hacksaw blades ground down or something like that, you're just entering into a lot of frustration. It is actually worth getting the correct things. But so I started cutting the nut slots down, got the action right, and then I started playing the guitar, and it was getting up to the, you know, above the 12th fret, and every note was choking out. And when I actually leveled the fretboard, I looked at put a straight edge across the fretboard. It had too much of a dip in the middle, which is stupid. That's the first thing you should adjust, really. I mean, I would always say start off with a straight fretboard. Now, this is a straight edge, but with notches cut out to go over the frets. And if I put this on the fretboard, and I can, you know, you can then look underneath it, and I can see what you really want is just an absolute fraction of a gap underneath the you know, underneath the straight edge in the center, so the neck has got like a dip in it, a slight dip in it. That will give you the lowest action. And as you can see, you know, on this now, I've got a really, you know, nice low action. You know, it's absolutely fine for me. I do build a occasional guitar for some guy who just likes an absolutely super low action, and it really takes a long time to get that right, sort of thing. But I'm kind of happy with that as it is for now. You know, when you've set up the guitar, sort of thing, and you think it's about right, don't have it resting on the headstock, because that tends to bend the neck a little bit as well. But that's a bit flat anyway. But if you start playing the notes down there and it's buzzing, the neck truss rod is probably too tight and the center of the fretboard is too high. If you get no problems with buzzing down towards the nut, but you start getting above the 12th fret and it starts buzzing, the truss rod's too loose and it's dipped too much in the middle. So try and, you know, get an even buzz across all the frets. I know that sounds a bit silly, and then just tweak the action up. So you can see that's got slight buzz, but it's not buzzing up here. So I would say, you know, the neck truss rod still wants to be tightened a fraction here, because you're getting buzzing down here. It's all right, really. I'm happy with that. This is, you know, without really going in. I mean, it's got an absolute, you know, it's got no action at all there, sort of thing. It's so low, it'd be perfectly playable. So I'm actually going to leave it like that. I'm quite happy with it like that, and I think you could leave it settle down for a few weeks and then go back and tweak it if you wanted to. Couple of things, you know, you are setting it up for a player, and I don't know who that's going to be. I mean, whoever buys this guitar, if I'm lucky enough to sell it, he may come back and say, oh, I want like 12s on it. I mean, these are 10s, I think. I want 12s on it, or I want 11s on it, which seems to be the go-to gauge nowadays, the higher gauges. Get very few people who want 9s on their guitars anymore. I mean, for me, being a bit old school, I'll put 10s on a Les Paul scale, and you know, 10s or 11s on a Les Paul scale, and on a Strat, I'll put 9s or 10s on, and perhaps I quite like the hybrid, which you know, you get an 09 top E but a 46 bottom E, which is quite nice instead of the 42. So I think we're about there now. I mean, with this, just waiting for the headstock decal, waiting for the knobs on it. So here we are. Here's the guitar in all its glory. I just think it just come out with a fabulous look, sort of thing, this has. I mean, by accident, not by design, I think. You know, I had the, you know, like I say, I have to build a guitar with something in mind and with a theme in mind. That's what I like. And you know, I had the coins, the idea of the coins, sort of thing, and then it all grew from there. So anyway, there we go. So I think we're getting there. Well, hi and welcome back to 3R Guitars. I've been doing the finishing touches to this sort of resin topped money shop guitar. So the nice bit is, look what I got. Knobs, giant great knobs. Don't they look really cool? They're old radio Bakelite knobs. A recent guitar I made, the Bigsby one. I actually got a set of these knobs in just plain Bakelite brown, and I thought, oh, well, if they fit, they'll be really cool. Of course, they fitted absolutely perfect, just with the grub screws, and the grub screws have got proper nuts in them, and the Bakelite has got a lot proper pocket for the nut and everything. It's just beautiful. So I bought another pair, but I could only get white in them, so I got the white off the guy and basically painted the tops gold with a very coppery gold. That's what I wanted, look at old, and painted the sides brown, sort of thing. And yeah, you could never tell they're not like just a Bakelite thing. It came out really, really well, and I think they look really funky on there. So that's the main thing. I've kind of set up the action now. This is the second set of strings on it. I put an old set on first of all, just to leave the neck under tension for a few days. And this is, you know, it's got an absolutely super low action. I mean, it's ridiculously low at the moment, and it still plays. So So it's sounding all right. I mean, it's got a bit of a buzz now because the strings are absolutely brand new. I've just literally put them on. So I'll leave it again for another few days and then go back and sort out the rest. When I put these new strings on, I cut the nut slot slightly deeper and everything, but the only remaining thing I've got to do now is I'm awaiting the headstock decal to come in, which I'll put on, and then lacquer over that, so the strings will probably have to come off again for that. Well, they will have to come off again, or at least slackened off. But I just think it's looking absolutely like kind of great now. So what I'll do is I'll get it completely finished, and then I'll do you know, a flyby of it sort of thing. I'm just so happy with this guitar. I think it just looks so damn cool. Just all these accidental things you try, you know, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, and on this one it's just come together so easily. You know, it's just, I mean, it's surprising. First of all, I thought, oh, I'd like to do a resin top guitar with the old money sort of thing, because I grew up with that, you know, and quite effective. And then I bought some material. Where is it? I haven't got any little bit of it. But it was basically, here it is. It's basically like this. And I put that on the top first. I cut it to a guitar shape, glued it on, put the coins on it and the notes, and didn't like it. And then my wife said, well, why don't you just paint a big Union Jack so it's less fussy? Thought, yeah, okay, I'll do that. Did it really quick, put the money on, and it looked good. I thought, oh, great. And then, you know, I thought with it being like Victorian, kind of, you know, the money, a lot of it's Victorian on there sort of thing. I thought, oh, well, let's go a bit, you know, a bit Nautilus with it, a bit James Mason and Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. I mean, in these Nautilus films with all the old gizmos and gadgets in very steampunky look sort of thing, which I decided to go for that. And then I thought, well, these coins, you know, the reverse of these, some of these coins have got the Houses of Parliament on it, things like that, which of course was blown up in V for Vendetta, one of my favourite films, so I went for that there. So little bits really designed themselves, and anyway, yeah, you know, I'm going on about it because I like it, you might not. The headstock obviously is pound shaped, you know, so that kind of worked itself out as well. But there we go. So looking fairly funky, I think. So I really hope you like it, and you know, we'll see what I can come up with next. Thank you for watching. So here we go then. There's the control plate, which I particularly like, with the rivets round the edge. Gives it a real James Mason, Captain Nemo look sort of thing out of the Nautilus. And then we've got the bridge. You can look in close at the feet, and everything fits nicely. The penny, the cut down penny edges for the pickups to do the height support and stuff like that. So I mean, just to run you through some of the coinage on here, for shits and giggles. Got a Queen Victorian penny there, Elizabeth II, George V, George VI, another Victorian one up there, George V, George VI, threepence there. Yeah, so we've got all the old coins. We've got Winston Churchill crown there. I can't think what some of these coins are, but you've got the penny, halfpenny. We've got a farthing somewhere. Florins, which are 2 shillings. Got 2 shillings and 6pence here. Anyway, all of them on there. It's quite nice. So going up the neck, and the notes as well. We've got a 10 shilling note there. We've got a Victorian pound there. 10 shilling there, and Queen Elizabeth £5 there, sort of thing. There's a £10 note somewhere. Oh, I think that's the £10 note, but yeah. Anyway, here's the threepenny bits up here. They'll be all George VI. And then we come up to the headstock here. We've got the truss rod cover, which is an inlaid bent penny, and then the sort of decoupage top, of course the Dina logo. So I think that's that. Very simple controls. 3-position switch, volume, tone, input jack, nothing fancy there. And on the back we've got this inlaid 5mm brass V as a sort of a neck plate, and then this lovely old table finish. So I think we're all good there. Yep. So there we are. I'm absolutely delighted with it, actually. I probably prefer it more this to the leaf guitar, just the look of it. But there we go. So we'll leave it there. Conclusion of the build of this latest resin top guitar. Thank you very much for watching it all, and hopefully get some more stuff done soon.